But I think with rates and what's happening now, there's definitely going to be a huge boost, at least initially.
What's a typical 30-year running, like 3 and 5/8?
We actually, by the way, we're all going to be sharing a win at the end of this. So if you have any wins for the week that you could think of, start thinking about it now at the end of each.
Yeah.
But we're actually locking them right now at 3 1/4 with no points on both conforming and on high balance.
3 1/4 for a 30-year?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Wow. That is pretty crazy. What's up, Chuck?
Hey.
How we doing?
Good, man. Long time no see.
Yeah, long time no see. I almost wore my camo shirt for you.
Our twin camo
Right?
situation. All right, let me get set up here. I was trying to log on. All of a sudden, I got this critical Zoom update I had to do. So I had to do it. Let's see. Where we at here? All right, are we live now?
Yeah, we've been live.
Oh,
Doing this live.
if we've been live this whole time, matching water then. Okay, I'll deal with that matching water.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So we know what we're discussing today.
We're talking about the Dodgers and then moving to Lakers, right? Was that the...
Yeah. Yep.
Lakers are going to be exciting. We'll see.
We'll see.
I heard a rumor too. Is that true? Anybody hear anything?
Let's hear it. Maybe we did.
This is how they start. What'd you hear?
I heard that they're going to start practicing and planning on hopefully getting back to some sort of a season in about 2 weeks or so.
Nice. Well, you heard Florida opened it up for all sports, right?
No, I did not hear that.
Yeah, Florida governor said anybody who wants to play any sports in the state is more than welcome to.
Didn't they open it with no audience though?
Yes.
Yeah, they're all going to be no audience, but
Yeah, but he's ready to go now.
Mhm.
And that's where the last mixed martial arts fight was. Florida.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Before you
open-
know it, it's all going to be open.
Yeah.
Oh, for Zoom. Is there a code for Zoom or just letting people in one at a time?
no code.
letting them in. Should I start letting people in, Lior?
Sure. There you go. Hello.
Everyone's going to be joining muted, I believe. Unmute as needed.
We can unmute as they come in. Hey, how are you?
Hello.
How's life?
Good. How are you?
You know, doing the same old thing. Every Thursday at 2. Did you ever meet Lior?
Yep.
And that's David right there.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Good.
Okay, here we go. Who's that?
That is the
That guy?
infamous
What up, Chuck?
and only guy Azar.
Chucky, thank you for Agnes, Baba.
I can't believe you have a agency shirt on. That's weird.
I'm fucking working. What do you mean, agency? What do you want me to do? I even have my suit, but I took it off because I'm driving.
You're live here, so you're gonna need to watch the F-bombs.
Oh. F the I'm kidding. I forgot that there are people. But
Hi,
I said,
Sabine, how are you?
thanks for Agnes.
Good to
Yeah.
see you. Good to
Hello.
see you. This is
Hi.
nice to
Hi,
meet you
Chantel. Nice to see you.
too. Awesome. You're looking sharp there.
This is as sharp as I get nowadays.
The stay-at-home wardrobe.
That's right. Let me see.
Keep it real. That's the new way of doing business. Shani just joined us. Everybody wish Shani a happy birthday. It's her
Oh,
birthday.
yeah.
Thank
Happy
you. Birthday.
birthday.
Thank you.
I think we'll give it another 2 minutes and then for everybody to join, we'll get started. But for now, just enjoy chit chat.
Yeah. So, oh, here we go. Hi, Celine. Okay. Okay. We're going to get on in 1 minute. I believe guy's wearing an agency shirt.
What do you want me to wear?
I'm
Keller
kidding.
Williams?
I'm kidding. You never not wear an agency shirt. I like that.
I tattoo against my chest. I'm kidding.
Wonderful. Okay, so we've got everybody here. We want to get started. Lior?
Yeah, let me just go ahead and mute everyone. Give me 1 second. And I will unmute Chuck. All right. So again, thank you everybody for joining. This is our, I'm actually surprised we made it to five episodes. This is our 5th episode of Rubbing Elbows.
Woohoo.
Here is to really get everybody together and learn from some of the top guys and girls in our industry. This week we have David Leibovitch, which is one of the general managers at Realtor.com. He's a great friend. Chuck and him go way back, and we've done a panel together. So we're going to learn a lot. We're going to try to dig in and pick his brain and then try to understand, from the data what's going on and what we can all do in the industry to help grow and get better. Chuck, you want to take it away and introduce David and maybe get started?
Yeah, I think you already did it. David, senior manager at Realtor.com, an all-around fantastic guy.
Thank you.
My first question for you is, obviously, we know each other for a very long time. We go back to high school, actually. My question to you is, how did you work your way to this extremely respectable position that you're at Realtor.com?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me here. And, this is a unique opportunity to be in. And, everyone on the phone, I would love to do this in person in a networking event or, some other way of doing this. But this is the way we do it now. This is our new temporary normal. But to answer your question, Chuck, it's, being genuine, being empathetic. I've never expected anybody on my team to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. I was taught, I come from a Eastern European background where, hard work gets it done. And, I saw my parents work really hard growing up. I wasn't scared of hard work. It's always about the extra hours, right? I've always found that you're not always necessarily the best salesperson in the room, but willing to put in the extra hours, the extra work, make those few extra calls. And before you know it, you have X amount of hours on the phone more than everybody else, or X amount of time talking to customers more than everybody else.
Okay, that's a very fair answer. Thank you for that. We're going to have a few questions from people at the end. And by the way, I want to just acknowledge a few people that are on here with us. We've got Sabine and Chantel from Topanga Properties. That's a 45-year-old brokerage out in Topanga that they're relaunching and rebranding. I want to acknowledge them. We've got Iris with us too, Ben Caspi. We've got Larry Feinberg from Hawaii. Guy Azar Agency, Brian Payne, Super Agent Brian Payne.
Hey, Brian.
Jessica, Michelle, Shanice, everybody's here. I'm happy to see everybody.
Hey, guys.
So yeah, there's a lot of agents, investors, brokers, title escrow people, pretty much anyone in real estate that's trying to level up or looking there to keep their ear to the street.
Yeah.
how can they align themselves with your brand, with Realtor.com? For example, like I've signed up with Market Reach program, which reaches specific targets, territory, things like that. Could you maybe explain that program to our viewers, or maybe is there like an easier way that you can share how they can maximize their exposure? Is it simply just setting up a profile for Realtor.com, or is it can they dig deeper?
Sure. The profile helps, but the programs, Market Reach is one of the great programs that allows you to get in front of people searching, right? And let's say somebody goes to Realtor.com, they fill out a lead form. That was the more traditional way of where we can kind of monetize leads that way and then provide them to someone like yourself, right? If you're interested. The newer way, which is the Market Reach, which is the one you were talking about, where let's say somebody went on Realtor.com and didn't fill out a lead form and went away. And maybe 10 minutes later, they went on Facebook or they went on Instagram. It's an opportunity for us to now take some properties that Chuck have for sale or something that Chuck maybe wants to feature, and we're putting Chuck in front of them. We're putting, I believe it's LA Fixers that you have, right? Whatever you have featuring, we're now putting it in front of the buyer. Why this is beneficial, you are getting people at different stage of the home buying process, right? Some people went to Realtor.com the first time, they were thinking about, hey, maybe I'll move to Calabasas, right? And they want to see what homes are going for. You are showing up as the expert in that area, right? For instance, and it'll allow you to be in front of them, even if they go back to Facebook or Instagram, the next day later or 24 hours later, they're constantly seeing you. Maybe at that point they decide to take action. They would fill out that lead form, and on Facebook or on Instagram, it would get filled out right away and would go right to you, Chuck. So they wouldn't even leave Facebook or Instagram. It'd be a native lead form right then and there. The results have been phenomenal. How this is different than what everyone else is doing is we're able to have a better idea from our database who's a better fit for actually taking action. We kind of know based on steps that homeowners take or potential homeowners take that they're more ready or more serious to pull the trigger.
Okay. And that's basically your thing. It's your technology, right? It's a Realtor.com.
It's our technology, 100%. 100%.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So David, let me jump in and ask
Of course, Leodor.
there's a lot of changes. We're seeing trends change very quickly with everything that's happening with COVID. What are you guys seeing as far as that behind the scenes that's changing? And more importantly, what are you seeing that realtors are doing that's actually working for them with the times now?
Sure. Yeah. So it's definitely changing. The first input of really good news, and we got the news yesterday. New listings are up 15% over the last few weeks. So now this tells us just in the last week that people are starting to put their listings out on the market, and that's a nationwide statistic, but it's still a pretty good statistic. I think of the reopening of the states, that's really ideal. The other thing that's different is when an agent connects with a potential person over the phone, could be a lead that came from us or just anybody, could be a referral that you're talking to right now, they're actually doing an immediate Zoom meeting, right? So they can see what the person looks like, the person can see what they look like, and it's the closest thing to doing a face-to-face in today's environment. In front of that Zoom meeting, or while they're doing the Zoom meeting, they'll pull up a Realtor.com website with them. They'll show them maybe some of the listings they're looking at. They'll find an idea of what they like, what they don't like. They'll pull up the calendar with the potential person on the phone. They'll set up a time when they can do another virtual meeting. And they're trying to do as much of it as they can over the phone or over the Zoom versus, you would normally, hey, let's meet for a cup of coffee, or hey, let's meet at this property. There's less and less of that. We've seen, especially in the San Diego area, we've seen some offers being made, things going to escrow sight unseen. And then, once it gets a little bit closer, when inspection's about to happen, then that's actually when they're going in, making sure they're properly covered up and you know, they're checking out the property for the first time.
So you mentioned you know, states are opening up, and every state is opening up differently. California probably gets
Completely different.
more ones to
Yeah.
follow. But what can we learn from some of the states that are opening up sooner? And what can we take away as soon as we get to that point where we're opening up here in California, and maybe be a step ahead of the game in terms of our market?
Yeah. Yeah, well, so know your audience, right? We have people that we deal with right now that are a little more cautious, and you know, they want to be careful going into the properties, and everyone should take the proper precautions, and everyone should wear gloves when appropriate and cover their face with masks. You know, protection first, but you know, this is a lot of the unknown, and we're going into uncharted territories. I would make sure that you see what your potential customer is comfortable with, right? And if you're representing a seller, see what they're comfortable with. I heard situations where sellers said, "Hey, anyone can come in at any point. I just need to sell my house." And I've heard sellers say, "Only when I know there's an offer in hand will I open up my doors." And my answer is they all work, right? You have to be sensitive to who your audience is, right? So that's I think being and one of the questions that Chuck asked me, you know, what's worked with all this? Put yourself in their shoes and kind of understand where they're coming from, and have that empathy to understand that this is unique to all of us. Everyone's treating it differently, and we got to respect that.
Well, you bring up a very important point with knowing your customer, and that's true all the time, but especially now.
Yeah.
Are you seeing any trends, or are buyers shopping differently? Are they looking for things that they wouldn't care about in the past, things that we should be paying attention to?
Yeah, so I'm sure you guys seen the meme. It was going around in the real estate community, but could you see yourself being quarantined here? You guys see that meme going around? I thought it was pretty funny. But you know, it's going to, we're all at home much longer now, right? And people are looking around going, "Gosh, I wish I had a pool, or I wish I had an extra bedroom." So I do see that, especially in the millennial area, but we are seeing people looking to upgrade to larger homes, maybe more of a backyard, maybe less in the city and more in the area. So yeah, there is definitely a flock to that, but people are looking to upgrade. Could be a lateral move as far as what they're spending, but they're getting more for the money. And you know, they're saying, "Hey, if it's like this, these are the things I want to check off my list that I have. I don't want to settle right now."
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I've been hearing a lot of that too. People are seeing this as the new norm, and you know, home is, you want to make it as comfortable as possible now, even more with home offices and all that good stuff. I want to ask you about Realtor.com as a company as a whole, in regards to how it's shaping for the rest of the year, what it's gearing for, you know, how it's gearing up for like 2021, things that we should know about.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some new products that I can't talk about right now, but we're definitely wanting to launch those between now and the end of the year. And it is to be more competitive. And, you know, Realtor.com has a very unique and privileged relationship with the NAR, National Association of Realtors, and that for granted, right? The relationship is, we're here to service the real estate community, maybe a little bit different than some of the other sites that are out there, in the sense that, you know, we're in it with you guys. So constantly looking for opportunities, options that complement what you guys are currently doing. And we've gotten some pretty good feedback with it so far, and you know, more to come as that comes along. But it's really responding to the home buyer and home buyer experience as soon as possible. We found no different than, you know, somebody who's doing Uber Eats, right? They want everything instant. They want everything right away. Somebody may be going to the site and say, "Hey, I'd like to find my mortgage person. I would like to find my title person. I want to find my insurance person all in one place. I want you to tell me who the best person is." And that's a little more unique that we haven't seen as much in the past, but it's something that's adapting pretty quickly.
Question that keeps coming up in every one of these episodes is
Yeah.
the whole clear cooperation policy from the
Yeah.
National Association of Realtors, where we can't do pocket listings, we can't, do that type of thing. I would imagine your relationship with the Association of Realtors could give us some sort of an insight on what people are doing, maybe getting around that.
And my understanding of the policy is until it's in the MLS, right? It's not to be published out, right? Isn't that the whole idea?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're holding suit to it, and the premise behind it is to make sure that everyone has a fair opportunity to potentially bid on a property, right? It's not getting held by one individual, or hey, I'm only going to show it to this one person and try and protect it so that we can keep the price in a certain area. So nothing different other than we're holding true to the policy and keeping in line with what NAR wants.
Okay. I say we open it up for some questions. We've got.
I have two more questions. You guys start thinking of questions, and if you do have a question, just hit the reaction button on the bottom, and then do a thumbs up or a clap, as you can see on my screen right now. But David, I want to, the biggest question that everybody asks me, because they know I'm in financing, and I'm sure question, where do you see the market, right? What's going to happen? So tell me your personal opinion, not the company's view, but just your personal opinion on where you see the market in the next 3 months, and then separately, where do you see the market in a year from now?
Yeah. So just based on the activity and states opening up and the excitement that I'm hearing, I do think in the short term and the time horizon you gave, Lior, I do think we're going to get a little bit of a bump. A lot more activity, a lot more people coming out of the woodworks, people coming out of their homes, to so call it, right? So I do see that it'll tick up, and we'll see that activity there. A little bit longer term, there could be a correction from this. There's plenty of people that are out of work right now. There's a lot of people I know that are in retail. If you look across the United States, number one position of everyone out there is in retail, right? That's the most held job. And most people are out of that. So that will have a long-term effect. But in my personal opinion, I don't think you're going to see the type of correction like we saw with the Great Depression or the recent recession we had in 2008. I think it'll hit, and then, shortly back up. It'll get to a level, I would say by 2021, we're back to a decent level again.
Got it. Okay. And I want to challenge you on this next question a little bit. Hopefully you can give a valuable tip here to either newer agents or people that are looking to grow their team. But knowing all that you know now, with all the experience that you have and all the data from Realtor.com, if you were to become a realtor tomorrow, what would be the one thing that you would choose to execute immediately to grow your business and to grow your brand?
Yeah. The last thing you said is the brand, right? It's all about branding. Nowadays, if you're not being seen, you're not being sold, right? If they haven't seen you, they don't know you from Adam. We have a lot of, especially in our area, people coming from other parts of the state. I know Brian Payne very well. I know he's very well regarded in this area. But let's say I was coming from New York and I got a job opportunity to move to Los Angeles. I wouldn't know Brian from Adam, right? And unless he had that proper social media presence, which I know he does, but you can always have more of it so they know, you know what, here's all the people that have the great things to say about Brian, and this is why he's looked upon as the local expert in the area, and here's his reviews. So that branding and having that presence online is more important than ever. It used to be that people would go to a restaurant just based on a referral. Most people I know go based on Yelp, right? It's no different looking for a realtor today. One of you guys on this phone may give a referral. Someone's still going to look them up and do a review and see what they see online about them, right? So it's important that you protect your brand, your naming, because that's your story.
Yeah, we see a lot of the big companies now. Social proofing is everything, and if you can leverage, that's going to be helpful. So let's open it up. If
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and unmute anybody that has a question. Does anybody in our large audience have a question? Trying to see hands go up.
We
Rosaline.
got Rosaline, we got Katie.
All right, Rosaline, you go first. Katie, I got you next.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
I can.
So-
Hi, Roman.
Hi, my question is, as always, is the coming soon. Now that we have the change with the coming soon, Redfin and Zillow will put the listings as coming soon in their website. When Realtor.com will do that.
My understanding is as soon as it hits the MLS. Now, there is a way to do branding. And for instance, somebody who's doing one of our market reach programs or a local expert program, they can say, hey, click here or reach out to me to see properties that aren't currently on this site. That is not disallowed as of yet, but to actually have the property on the site, it would have to be on the MLS.
The MLS puts the coming soon. Basically.
Oh, they have it there already? Okay, then I apologize. For my understanding, it has to be active.
Oh, it has to be active. So there is no coming soon feature in Realtor.com?
Not at the moment. We will have, I mean, obviously we have pendings and sold, but not coming soon yet.
The MLS didn't remove coming soon yet?
They don't, what they did, you can put coming soon for 21 days on the MLS. And then after 21 days, it must change to active. So Zillow and Redfin, they kept the coming soon, but they didn't say it in Realtor.com because I assume if it's already on MLS, they can release that.
Yeah, we could be more conservative as far as that goes. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So Katie, I got you, and Brian, I saw you raise your hand, so I got you next.
Hi, David. I have a question.
Sure,
Do you
Katie.
do you have any data? How many more people are like browsing Realtor.com right now since they have more time when they sitting at home, like percentage-wise or?
Yeah, so we've definitely seen an uptick. There is a lot more people. Believe it or not, the uptick used to be on the mobile. The percentage-wise, it was about 70% mobile, the remaining on desktop. It's leveled out a little more even since this, as you would imagine, pre-COVID, people were out and about and they'd be searching on their phone. Now people are home, they got their laptops out, they got their desktops out and they're searching. But yeah, there's definitely an uptick. Last numbers I looked at, it was at least 10% higher. But as far as making offers, making activities, I think that's what's to come, and that's part of the uptick activity I said we'll see in the short term.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. Brian, you had a question?
I was really just going to comment on, hey, David, how are you, by the way?
Hey, Brian.
Great listening to you. Did a great job. And, Realtor.com, my understanding is a broker, unlike Zillow and Trulia, correct? So you get your information, it comes immediate to if I upload a property, it's immediately in the MLS. That's a benefit also of Realtor.com over some of these other companies. What was I going to say? Do you have anything like in terms of comps or since you guys have like everything gets, since you have pretty much the real MLS stats, since you are a broker, do you guys have systems in place for comps for like sellers?
Yeah, so we added something pretty recent. When you guys are done with this, pull up a property and check out. There's like 3 different prices now that we're giving. So different than some estimates that you may get on other sites or some things that may anger a seller. They came up with 3 different estimates, little similar to what you'd find on Kelley Blue Book when looking for a car, but it's kind of like a house in pristine condition with all the upgrades, maybe the higher price, house with maybe not so many upgrades, not the most pristine on the block, right? And a house that needs a lot of work would have the low. So it allows you to kind of explain what the 3 different price points are. So if you have a seller who's really pushing for the high end, it would allow you, Brian, to go, look, we don't have all the upgrades. We're missing X, Y, and Z that are in here. So this house, yes, sold for that amount of money, but we don't have the pool. We don't have, you know, the extra siding that they want on all the new homes. So it allows for a little more explanation on your end when you're pricing a home.
Excellent. I'll take a look at it. Thank you.
Yep, for sure.
Thanks, Brian. Anyone else? Was
Okay.
it you again?
I like to ask questions, so why not? If I'm already here.
Hello again.
Do you see any changes on new construction sales in the future, or any impact from COVID-19?
Yeah.
My question is like, what do you see?
Yeah, so I do think it's going to be impacted. I do feel for the short term, new construction sales will probably be okay. Back to what I was talking about, probably by the end of the year, be affected. I know there's a lot of players over the last few years that came in. The larger players probably won't go anywhere. I can see some of the smaller players getting washed out. People need to be ready to withstand any type of correction, even if it means it's short term. But I do feel that, you know, different, and I said this before, different than the recessions we've had or the Great Depression, this is not going to take a decade to recover. At least that's my opinion. I'm being optimistic about it. It will be a little painful, but I think it'll be short term.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jose. Brian.
Let's unmute him.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up that I think it's our responsibility as realtors because we kind of help dictate this market and we kind of create the stats as well, you know, and like when there's clients that are getting into conversations about like how the market is going to crash, you know, everything's going to fall apart. You know, the stance that I try to take as a realtor to keep this moving forward is that, hey, that's not necessarily true. You know, it's a day-to-day process. Right now, properties are moving, interest rates are low. Things are, you know, we're in an environment where there is a little bit of a discount based off of the COVID, but I think it's up to us as professionals to hold the bar high because it's very easy to go into that conversation. And the conversation is really nothing really changes in a good or bad market. The money's still available. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
We create the market through conversations. So I think by holding the conversation high, we're actually holding the market up because the market, to be honest with you, is moving right now. That's a fact. It's moving. People are buying. Interest rates are low. So I don't know. That's kind of, I'm just getting I guess the question is, what are you guys doing to engage when your clients are engaging with you in these conversations and they're going with whatever they're going with? What are you doing to kind of keep this market moving?
Well, you know, to the optimistic approach, kind of telling success stories, right? We have a very high renewal rate, and even during COVID, we have a very high renewal rate, meaning somebody signs up with us and, you know, it's let's call it a 1-year contract, right? They're up in May. Even with what's going on, even in the midst of the uncertainty, they're going, you know what, we're going to go for another year, right? And we're spreading those stories across someone in Michigan who's affected pretty bad, saying, hey, I'm thinking of canceling out or miss what's going on. We're giving the success stories and it's what's going on, right? We got plenty of people that are having a great return on investment. Otherwise, they wouldn't be renewing. Hope that answers your question, Brian. Awesome.
Unless there's any other questions, we are coming up on the 30-minute mark. And one thing that we like to do to kind of finish on a positive note is share. We started this last week. Anybody here can share a win they had this week. Hopefully there'll be a takeaway in that you know we can all benefit from. So if anybody would like to share.
I'll go first. I'll go first on this one, actually.
Go ahead.
I had an escort's a vacant lot in Bell Canyon, fell out of escrow 3 different times. People kept wasting our time. And there was one buyer that was just patient and waited for us. We put him in escrow a couple of weeks ago, closed yesterday, recorded, done and done. So happy about that. That's a win.
Awesome.
Awesome, Chuck.
Anybody else have a win for this week? Go ahead, Oza.
Very active here.
Yeah.
Okay, my housekeeper is back. My son is in the daycare, and I'm getting listing presentations, meetings, buyers that would like to see properties. So it feels like I'm back to the routine. So I'm very happy and very grateful.
Have you done something for that to happen, or is it just kind of coming together?
I prayed every day.
Good.
got-
No, I still worked. I worked and I tried to manage it with my husband, going to showings because they still have properties for sale. And I'm doing my follow-up and I'm very, very positive. So the fact that I put my son in the daycare back after 2 months and the housekeeper came, I feel relieved going back to the routine.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
We've got, that's amazing, by the way. Kids away, that's just a win right there. So Chantal, Chantal had a question, but I think we lost her video.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
Hi. No, where is she?
you're unmuted.
I think
Yeah,
we lost her.
unmuted, man. Yeah,
Oh, there
we
she
got
is.
video on our end too, but it says it's on your end.
Let's
I hear you. Hello.
Okay, we got it back now, I think. Here we go.
There
There
we
we go.
Hello.
How's it going?
How you doing?
So we were just wondering what people are seeing across the board right now as far as the mortgage industry is going. With there's a lot of people that no longer qualify for loans that they did qualify for before, and what you see. I'm in a small little community, tiny section of LA, but what are you seeing out across the board as far as all that goes? I mean, with the 30 million people out of work right now,
Yeah.
it's pretty devastated as far as the buyer's market goes.
For sure, for sure. So I'll speak on it from a high level and from my perspective, but from there, I'd pass it to you, Lior, because before the call, we were just talking about this, and you kind of have your unique take on it, which I think is beneficial to hear. So a lot of interest in it. There are still people that qualify. There are still some people in work. I do know that there's some lenders out there that have structured their guidelines that if they can still show that there's some money coming in and they qualify with what they can prove, they will qualify them. But I don't, outside of that, if somebody was drastically affected, my understanding is they wouldn't qualify at this time, and that will have downstream effects down the road, but we are all hoping this is temporary.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll just quickly add to that, and maybe I'll bring in my partner Michelle here in a second to chime in as well. But no doubt there's going to be an effect. A lot of people are not going to qualify right now in the immediate position. There still isn't a solution for people that are taking the deferment option on their mortgage. So it's really good to advise your customers if they are thinking of either refinancing, purchasing, or doing any kind of qualifying, do not take the deferment or the forbearance options, because that's going to disqualify you at least for the next year. So people that have done it already in April, unfortunately, we're out of luck on them. But those that are thinking of only starting in May, you have until the end of May to still educate them on what that can do to cause their qualifying down the road. I personally believe that Fannie Mae and some of the agencies will eventually find a solution for that and have a workaround. We are starting to see our underwriters try to get creative in finding compensating factors to make up for some of the things that are hurting. But it's really important to really find the right lenders, the right partners, because even all of us in the industry, we don't know what's changing tomorrow. We just know what changed yesterday and today. But every day there is new news coming in. So just making sure that you're partnering with somebody that's a step ahead and that can be a little more creative. Michelle, if you want to add anything to that, because I know you're deep in the details, so I'll go ahead and unmute you.
Sure. So we did have a client that had a loss of income. So it wasn't a complete loss, it was just a partial loss. And what we were able to do was have a seller buy down the rate so that he would still qualify for the property. So that was a huge
That's
win.
interesting.
That's, two, that's a win for the week. That's good. So
Yeah.
just going on, finding creative ways, working with sellers and buyers to really accommodate and make up and kind of fill in for any compensating factors.
Now, buying down the rate is very clever, very clever. So I know we're going to wrap up in a minute. I just wanted to say that the point of doing these series is to learning, how to align yourself. Aligning yourself here is really the key. New agents, old agents, the point of the series is to, put someone like Roman, who's a broker in LA, or Chantal from rebranding a brokerage in Topanga, to get you in front of someone at Realtor.com or a VP at Lawyers Title or whoever else we have come on here. So that is the point, to get us in this kind of new sphere of influence where we can kind of bounce things. It's almost like a mastermind style session.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any final words, Leo?
Yeah, just to quickly wrap on the win for the week, I'll give a very short one, and then David, I'd like to ask you for one also.
Sure.
But I'll just say that we got a notification last week that we were able to now price our high balance pricing. So anything over the 450,000 in LA County and in the counties around us, we're able to price those as a regular conforming loan. So what that means for buyers is they're able to get a high balance loan at 3.25% with no points, where we checked the brokers and the competing lenders around us. They're at roughly 3.875 with 1 point. So we're able to save them a lot more money, and then the purchasing power goes up because obviously the cost of borrowing money goes down. So that was a good win for us, which is exciting, and we're going to see a big uptick this week. David, why don't you finish us off with if you have a win for the week? Hopefully you have something.
I do. So first off, grateful to be here. Extremely privileged to be amongst you guys. Win for the week. There were some painful changes we need to make in the company last week. Not all of them good. And I had probably majority of my team reach out individually and send me a really nice note that they're here with me. They're here to support me. They're ready to go in this next chapter. They're going to roll up their sleeves, do what they can to make it happen. And that made me feel really good. Got me hungrier, got me ready for this next phase. So I looked at that as a win, and it makes my team feel that they trust me and they're ready for what's next.
That is awesome. Well, on that note, David, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're super, super busy now, so it doesn't go unnoticed that you take the time to share with us and join us here today. Everyone else, thank you very much for joining. Next week, same place, same time. Please share with your friends. Get as many people on here as possible. The more we hear from, the more we all learn. So I want to thank everybody, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, David.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Chuck. Take care, guys.
See ya.
All right, bye, everyone.